Hi guys, Tracy here. I'm going to scrapbook these two pictures of my daughter's haircut before and after. I'm going to use these Maggie Holmes canvas frames that came in the Citrus Twist kit this month, and I am having a look at some of the paper that came in that kit and picking out all the ones that I think are going to go with my idea, which is this. I was actually didn't realize that that layout was on that piece of paper, but I knew I had seen somebody put those frames across the middle of a layout, and I wanted to give that a try. So I was scrap lifting that idea, and now I'm going through the Studio Calico pattern paper that came in the Studio Calico kit. There are the Studio Calico embellishments in that glass tray, and then the Citrus Twist embellishments are in that silver tray. I'm going to put those over to the side and start working on this layout. So I'm basically scrap lifting the concept of having the three frames go across with the two on each side being, the one on each side being cut off, and then the ones in the middle with pictures in them. And I want to put some interest on this background, so I'm going to do a bit of misting with my Starburst mask. And I just got some Seafoam Mr. Huey, so I'm eager to try that out. So that's the color I chose. And that just gives a subtle bit of interest to the background paper because it is a very plain paper, and I don't usually use plain paper. I usually use some type of pattern paper on my backgrounds. And I didn't want to do any misting or any paint splatters on this one, so I wanted to put some misting on ahead of time. Once you cover up the center of that starburst, it really is quite a subtle effect on the background paper because you're not seeing when you don't, the mist was more concentrated in the middle. So now I'm kind of thinking about changing my idea of this layout so that I would fill the paper with these frames, because I had a lot of frames and I thought, you know what, this would be a really cool way to use them. Um, and it would be, but I don't end up doing this. I'm going to walk quite a ways down this road before I decide to change back to my original idea. So bear with me. I didn't edit this part of the video out because I think it is an important part of the process that, you know, you try things out and sometimes you go quite a ways with an idea before you decide that it's not really what you want for this particular layout. So I'm trying to spread that diagonal stripe around the layout because I love it so much, and it's a bold pattern and I like what it does to the layout. But I don't want it beside itself either, right? So I'm kind of trying to spread it out a little bit. So at this point I'm deciding which patterns are going to go under which frames. I'm going to kind of shuffle them around a little bit. I've got too much blue. It's very lopsided at this point. I'm not really liking it. And so I'm going to layer a couple of papers in there as well to try to, I'm not sure where I'm at right now. I guess I'm looking for papers. To try to kind of give it a bit of balance, and then that just ends up adding way too much. There's too much stuff going on because the frames are patterned and the papers are patterned. And so I think if I were going to give this idea a shot, I'd do it with plain frames and patterned paper, or I'd do it with patterned frames and plain paper. So anyways, I decide to keep one extra frame up there that I'm going to use for my journaling, and this is a handmade embellishment that came in the Citrus Twist kit. And what else am I doing here? I'm going to use some of these Dear Lizzie flare badges that came in the Citrus Twist kit, just taking a couple of them off. I have a roll of washi tape that I'm going to end up not using. Now I've got the Maggie Holmes from Create Paper die cut pieces out, and they came with the Citrus Twist kit, and I'm just pulling out a couple of pieces that are going to provide some contrast and also some coordination. So I pulled out some navy blue pieces to balance off the dark colors that are in the photos, and I also picked out a couple of colors that would match some of the colors that are already there. These are wood veneer letters that come from the Studio Calico kit. They're also made by Studio Calico, and the Studio Calico kit also had that twine, that hemp twine that I'm going to use. It also had these resin stars that are made by Freckled Fawn, and I really like those. I'm going to move my title over because it's not balanced at this point. I'm looking through my stamps. These are my Kelly Perky stamps, or some of my Kelly Perky stamps. And this stamp that I just took out it says, "And I couldn't help but wonder, dot, dot, dot." And I thought that would make a good beginning to my journaling. And so I put that up by my journaling. And then I also pulled out that border stamp. It's a bunch of triangles. It came in a Studio Calico kit a while ago. And I'm going to get some more stamps out. You see that down there to the right, I have the Citrus Twist kit stamps are out on my page just to remind me to use them. Took a picture with my phone so I don't forget how I have everything laid out. And I'm going to stamp the Citrus Twist stamp. It's a little finger pointing and it says, "I'm so not forgetting this." And I just stamped it on a piece of that Dear Lizzie paper, the lined paper that was in the frame at the top for the journaling. And I'm cutting it into a little arrow, like a banner that's pointing in a direction. And now I'm looking for a couple of other stamps because that banner looks a little lonely, so I'm going to try to make it into 3 banners. And I took my Kelly Perky stamps out again, and this is the pink strip from that same blue paper, and it says "Hey Baby." The stamp says "Hey Baby," and it's from Kelly Perky. And so I put that one beside it, and now I just need to find one more. I'm looking at the ones that came in the Citrus Twist kit, and then I go back to my Kelly Perky stamps again, and I'm going to take the one that says "Bright Idea" because it was a bright idea to get her hair cut that way. I just stamped it in the yellow part of that pattern paper because I didn't want the pattern to distract too much from the sentiment. So then I have those flags there, and I'm going to start to glue things down now. And I'm gluing them down purposely so that they're not lined up, but I don't want them too much off kilter either because that can be a little bit distracting. So I'm going to fuss a little bit here just to make sure that it's the perfect amount of off kilter, perfectly random. And I'm just using my ATG, and before I glue down my frames, I'm going to tie some twine around them. And I'm using this twine for a couple of reasons. A, I'm trying to challenge myself to use the things that came in the kit, and it came in the Studio Calico kit. And B, it provides a bit of a dark element, particularly the darker string, to balance off all that dark that's in my daughter's hair, because there's a lot of dark in these photos, and a lot of the colors that I'm using are very light colors, so I'm purposely throwing in some navy blue and some darker elements into this layout just so that it can kind of balance off the darkness in the photos, so the photos don't look so much of a big contrast to the layout. And I'm just fussing a little bit with how things are lining up. And I didn't want any paper to be peeking out from under the frames. So I had to do a bit of trimming there. And now I'm just using my ruler to make sure, because it looks awfully lopsided, but when I checked with my ruler, it actually wasn't all that lopsided. But I'm going to fiddle with it a little bit just because to my eye it looks lopsided, and that's reason enough to fix it. So there, I think that looks a little bit better now. And the starburst that I misted is very, very subtle, and I think that's okay. I misted the background because I rarely use a plain cardstock background, and it looked a little bare to me, so I wanted to put some misting on it. So I just cut off the edges of those frames, and that makes a big difference in how you're kind of looking at the layout, because it's a lot easier to see what the final product is going to look like now that I've trimmed it up a bit. I used that border stamp that I mentioned was from Studio Calico, and I thought about running that border stamp along the bottom too, but I just put it at the top just because I think it would be a little bit too predictable to put it at both the top and the bottom. And also, I think it almost becomes part of the title design here. You know, like these triangles lead you right into the title. The resin stars kind of frame the title, and then I'm going to put more stamped triangles on the other side of the title. And so it just kind of, I liked the idea of having that just be there and not having it be below as well. So I didn't glue down that resin star because I wanted to be able to stamp nice and close to it. And now I'm going to glue it down now, and you'll see that those lots of glossy accents is showing underneath my title, which is not great, but I find that those letters are difficult to work with because they're very slippery. So I'm just gluing down this frame that's going to become the home for my journaling. I have that piece of pattern, two pieces of pattern paper, and a label die cut from Maggie Holmes. I'm going to do the journaling. First, I'm going to start by stamping, and the stamp says, "And I couldn't help but wonder, dot, dot, dot." And then the journaling says, "Where did my baby go? And who was this sophisticated girl?" So now I'm going to put that bow, which is from the Maggie Holmes ephemera pack, and I'm going to put that flare badge, which is from Dear Lizzie, on top of the bow, and then trim off the extra. I am going to use the canvas frames that have been cut off of this layout in another layout. I'm not sure exactly how, but I do plan to use them. I just glued down that piece of ephemera from the Citrus Twist kit. It's a handmade embellishment. And now I'm working on this other cluster of embellishments over here now. I did stamp the date on the flag that came on the frame. In the package of frames, some of them have embellishments on them and some of them don't. So you saw me I glued down, and then I also used my tiny attacher on those 3 banners that have the Kelly Perky stamps on them. And now I'm just adding one more flare badge and another resin star there. And it's pretty much done. So I will show you the close-ups now. So here's the journaling. And you can see that the mist really makes a subtle pattern on the background. And I just let the edges of the frames curl up because I like the casual look that gives. I really like how the title turned out on this one. I really like how the triangles lead into it and also kind of guide your eye to the title. And this is definitely a classic layout with that, 3 clusters, the visual triangle. And it was a lot of fun to make, and it was really fast and easy to put together. So thanks so much for watching, you guys. Have a good scrappy week.